Good morning, or good evening. I would like to do a video about all the controversial topics, all these topics that a lot of people like to skip over and avoid. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is, well, of course, non-duality, of course, oneness. But what I like to do with this philosophy that I introduce or that I teach is to bring everything back to a oneness, And I don't do this to try and convince anybody otherwise, to try and change your mind. I do this as for the seeker who was as persistent as me. I spent hours upon hours, Good morning, Wayne. Love you, brother. So I spent hours upon hours just scouring YouTube. I've probably seen every spiritual video on YouTube there is about doing. I was very persistent in my search, and I wasn't afraid to look in places certain people were. So, for instance, there's a reason that there are Freemasons, there's a reason that there is a Satan, and there's a reason there are these topics that are very uncomfortable for certain people, very uncomfortable for ego. And that's what I like to discuss. I like to I picture your pineal gland, your third eye, as a camera lens. No different than the lens looking right at me now. This is my lens, an extension of my lens. And that's what we've done with the camera phone and the camera in general. Where there's cameras on the streets, there's cameras on your phone. This is an extension to your pineal gland. This is an extension to your eye watching itself. But anyway, back to my point. Your pineal gland essentially is this camera, is this focal point. And this focal point is fixed, meaning it's still, it does not move. It cannot move. Your body moves, and this stays still. This is a fixed point, right? So, let me show you this. This is the Freemasons' famous two pillars, right? And then they always feature in the center, but they don't just feature in a center point, the Masons. It's an illuminating point that is exploding. It's illuminating bright. Now you have to think, if God is everything, if God is all-pervading, if God is every place, every person, everywhere, what's one little symbol? If you were to find God right now and you realize there is nothing that can capture it, there is no word, no picture, nothing, but you wanted to leave behind a symbol to represent kind of what that meant, that's what it would be. A singular dot illuminating. And that's where the Freemasons teach about the dot in the circumference. Now, this isn't the dot in circumference, but this is a Mandela pattern. But what they teach is about the dot, the center point, which is source, and the circumference, which is the surrounding matrix, the being, and the world. But their philosophy is ordo ab chaos. So you have chaos and order going hand in hand. Ordo ab chaos and omnia ab uno, all from one. So a lot of us are under the impression that these Freemasons are evil. They're teaching stuff that you don't know. They're teaching things that are beyond human capabilities, and they know stuff you don't. The only thing they know that you don't is themselves. The only thing they know about you is they are you. That's what the Masons know. The government and all these corrupt beings and whatever problem is existent in the world as of today is 9 times out of 10 being projected right from behind your very eyes. And only you see it. And this is why we begin to seek to expose this problem. We have to expose it by how? Exposing it to others. Because if others see it, then we are in a collective agreement now that this is very real. This is happening because I'm not the only one that sees it. She sees it, he sees it. But for everybody else who does not see it, they are the problem now. You are the problem, you're the problem, and you're the problem. Because you do not fuel my dream. You do not support my dream. You're not offering information to keep the dream going. And we want the dream to persist. Neo persisted in fighting Smith for 3 movies until he's asked one simple question. Why are you still fighting? Why do you persist? You cannot win. And this is exactly the message to the black and the white. We are not black and we are not white, and this is my whole message. This will be the message that I speak until the day I die. There is no black man and there's no white man, because there is no human. Human is a dream. We are a human belief. The black think it's a human and the white thinks it's a human, but we are the same person. We are one and the same. There is no difference. This is why in Africa they were black, dark, hot, heat. They could stand the heat, melanin. What were the Slavics? Iceland. They were white, long hair, cold, ice clinging to their beard. Africa, hot. You need the two to exist here. You need the two. But we don't realize that. We do not see ourselves as one. We see ourselves as human. And so human sees, a human only sees on the surface, which means you've only been taught to use these 2 pillars, these 2 eyes. And so what the Freemasons do is they introduce you to yourself by allowing you to forget these 2 eyes. Forget them. Drop them, lose them, and turn your camera lens, that fixed point, turn your camera lens onto itself. Realize that every person that you look at in the eyes, right behind their eyes is the fixed point that is right within you. And the only reason they are there is so that you can see your own face. So that you can see your own lens, which could not be seen otherwise. Now, yes, obviously we have a mirror, but if we were looking at a mirror, we would just see our reflection. It would move with us. But the fact that when we see other people, they don't move in accordance to us. They're obviously not a reflection as in a mirror, right? Or so we think. But that's the greatest catch. When you begin investigating what this world is, if atoms are 99.99% empty space, what is this world actually made up of? Where am I? Who am I? And this is where you begin peeling apart your matrix, peeling apart the layers to your illusion, one piece at a time. There has to be a problem here. That's mandatory. The only way to shake the ego out of its comfort and realize there's a problem here is that problem must be introduced. That is how an awakening begins. And most of the time it begins with government, conspiracies. However, the majority will remain here and stay. That's not the final frontier. This is not the end. An awakening is not discovering some corrupt knowledge or reading about some article online and the next day now you're fighting this force, this entity, this person, this whatever you want to call it, whoever they are. That is an awakening. When you persist long enough that whoever they are, and I used this example yesterday, whoever they are, if you're a racist, then the white people are the problem. If you're a racist, then the black people are a problem. Whoever they are. To the conspirator, The government is the problem. To a racist person, they are the problem, or they are the problem. But all they are, the word they, is that ugly mirror in the face, that ugly mirror you refuse to face. They are you. Any differences that you see, you're seeing with these two eyes. And the reason you're seeing these differences is because of your foundational belief. And that foundational belief is what begins everything else. The foundation which you have began as is, who am I? And that I thought, because we use I for everything. I went to the store. I had a dream. I was afraid. I went here. I was there. This I thought is that focal point, and it's unaware of itself. That's your foundation. That's what you will base everything off of. That's what you are seeing through, is I thought. So if you are human, seeing is believing. These quotes aren't just made up out of thin air. Seeing is believing, because what you believe is what you will see. And this is very easy to prove. Line up 100 people, have them all look at the same object, and tell them to describe it. Or, line up 100 people, ask them to describe God to you. Ask them to describe the earth to you. And you'll get 100 different descriptions, answers, definitions. Because the definition, the image, the word exists in you. The entire light of the cosmos is behind your eyes. This is primarily what the Freemasons teach, is that man is unaware of himself. God is nowhere to be found because man is asleep. Man is God and God is man. They are playing as one, and they are in conspiracy with each other. However, as I say, the greatest conspiracy is not with you and the world. It's with you and yourself. And that's why we can only pretend for so long. We can pretend to be awakened. We can pretend that we are getting somewhere, but only you know if the work you're doing is transforming your life, or are you spinning your tires? And again, I'm not here to judge anybody or tell you that my way is right. I offer an alternative route if you're stuck. And with this philosophy, a lot of people ask me, and this is why people unsubscribe from what I have to say, because many are not ready. Honestly, many are not ready to begin facing the ego. They ask me, what can I practice to be like you? How can I practice to know what you know? And I tell them, you don't need to be like me. You don't need to know what I know. You need to know yourself, and you will know me instantly, right away. There is no separation. The birthing of Christ, which was consciousness, awareness. Each and every one of us are the creation story. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Because each and every one of us are, again, we are this fixed focal point. This fixed focal point is right behind your eyes. That's why time is an illusion, and that's also why our record of time mimics this very concept. Why do you think a clock features in a fixed point where there is a line going around the circumference? Doesn't that sound familiar? There is a dot within your eye, or behind your eyes. That's fixed, just like the clock. And you move around the circumference, the matrix, the world. Do you know why the clock mirrors you? Because time is in you. You are not in time. You have created time as a concept to remain in a human dream. Do you know what else mimics this? Our concept of a solar system. You have the sun in the center, which is the fixed point, and all the planets are going around it, the circumference, right? Do you know why our solar systems mimic this? Because you are what shines the sun. You are what revolves the moon. You are what lights the stars. That was Alan Watts' key message too, is that you are the whole universe. What flows the rivers and what flows the oceans is what flows your blood, is what digests your food. It's one and the same intelligence. And whether you connect to it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, your body is naturally doing this because there is a natural intelligence here that needs no mind involved. And that's the knowing that people are after. It's an unknowing. It's an unlearning. This is not something that's literal. If you want to make it there, then you have to unlearn. This is not an accumulation of knowledge. That's what Buddha's quote was. Buddha said to the people who came to him, "My philosophy is not for those seeking an accumulation of knowledge," which is precisely what I am seeing today. We're seeking an accumulation of knowledge. We're creating things which are not there. And in turn, we are branching out into a new form of religion. Spirituality is turning into a mystical game. Spirituality is turning into I found the black cat in the dark room that's not even there. Spirituality is turning into mystics. We have spiritual toothpaste. We have spiritual hats. We have spiritual bracelets, spiritual everything. Spiritual sunglasses. Because we're looking for coincidence. We're looking for something. Repeating numbers. What does it mean when you see a number repeated? What does that mean to you? What does that show you? Are you on the right track? Is something speaking to you? What does that mean? What does it change? If you're seeking transformation and you want instant results, turn the lens in on itself. Enough with the charades, enough with the games. No chakra work needed, no alignment needed, no connection needed. This is an ego game. Because an ego is what's behind all separations. Ego must complex this search. The ego cannot accept. If you want to be there, realize you're already there. Oh, no. The ego needs to travel and scour every planet, atom, and being before it discovers that, holy crap, I've searched everywhere but one place. And that's what the Hindus teach. If God wanted to hide itself, it would hide itself in man, because it's the last place man would look. Which is why we have still not found God. And we have not found a human origin, which is what I talk about endlessly. So many people tell me, I hear what you say, but means everything else didn't matter. I know what you mean, but I'm still human. But I still have to exist here. Yes, you have to exist here. You're always existence. You are life itself. You are endless life. But what does I still have to exist here mean? Because remember what I said, there is a natural intelligence within your body that knows what to do, that knows where it's going. All you have to do is drift like a cloud and float like water, as Alan Watts says. As just be, is know yourself. There's a reason we have not found a human origin, and this is what I say to people who tell me, but I'm still human. You're not human. You say this to keep the dream persistent, real. There's a quote from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaja, and he says that which says it's human is not human at all. Because, again, you are what you seek, and everything that you seek, you inevitably will find. Whether you have to convince yourself you found it or not, you'll find everything you seek, because you are every single thing you seek. Do you know why the human being is still searching for aliens? Do you know why the human being is still waiting for another life form to come and tell us who we are? For the same reason that we don't know we're God, because we can't be. Our greatest fear, as I say, is of ourselves, is of having this power beyond our own comprehension and not knowing what to do with it, where to go. And that's where the question comes into play. How do I exist here? Realize you know nothing, because there's nothing needing to know. That's knowing the self. Effortless. This is a picture I had put together. This is Alex Gray art. All is one, one is all. Death is only a mask to the self which exists within the illusion. So what does it mean when somebody tells you that your reality is an illusion? When you come to somebody and tell them, you know, you're suffering or you've lost someone, and their response is it's an illusion. I want to clarify what this means. Because it doesn't mean that your emotions aren't real. It doesn't mean that what you're feeling is not surfacing and valid. That's not the illusion. That's not the illusion. Your feelings and emotions and everything felt is real. It's the I thought, the foundation, that is the illusion. We suffer because we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are behind the I thought. We're very much attached to emotion and the reaction of this body, because everything we know about ourselves has been established through this body. So we've become much attached to the emotion. So, do you know why your brain has two sides to it? You're split in half. This is the duality. Your brain has two sides to it, and I tell people this all the time. There's a reason that worldly systems mimic the human brain. And I can tell you this as simple as this. This is the Democrat. This is the Republican. Which side do you want? Which side is right? Pick and choose. Because the moment you do that, you are at war with yourself. And since you don't know yourself, you will go over here and cause trouble and riot and bang and shake the pillars and want to bring down this, right? If only the Democrats didn't exist. If only the Republicans didn't exist. Two sides to the same coin. These worldly systems have us at war with ourselves because we still don't want to acknowledge who we are here. If you've seen Fight Club, we are one and the same. That's the ego. That's God. That's what they represent. This is who you think you are. This is who you truly are the whole time. We are Tyler Durden, if you've seen this movie. Everything you think you're not, you are. And that's why Mooji says, step into the fire of self-discovery. This fire will not burn you, but show you who you are. Something like that. You notice all these pictures are relative, right? They're the same person. They're the same person. We see these movies and we get lost in the plots. We get lost in the stories of them. We don't realize that The Matrix was about a man who fought himself. For 3 movies, he fought a system called The Matrix, and that system ended up being himself. And the entity he projected as the bad guy was also himself. And that's why I say to people, there is no corrupt government. Wherever you birth, there will always be a storyline. And what does a story feature? Good and bad. What does your brain feature? One side and another. You are the dual principle. You are the good and the bad. Who projects? So for instance, when you see Rothschild's face, he's the bad guy. Why? Because we have said so. We have made him so. We found all this evidence on corruption on Rothschild and all this money and that. But who keeps the dream going? We see through the mind, not these eyes. Remember, that is the power. But we always go back to, but. I know what you mean, but. There's no buts. This is what you see with. What you believe is what you will see. You have a choice. And I'm not saying we choose to suffer, but we can choose to begin taking a step forward by turning this camera lens on itself. Because this camera lens is what's speaking for you, is what's speaking everything. So whatever your mission is next in life, this is what's speaking for you. But if you don't know who you are, you're driving this blindfolded. You may be still trying to control this experience when control does not exist. In the sense of a human control. Because as I've said, there is an intelligence here that is undeniable and it has everything under control. Everything is taken care of and you are that intelligence. But remember, you are not human and it is the human that has created this concept of control. Why do you think the human is the most unhappy here? Because we are in a human race to a finish line where we don't know where we're going. So we're all driving blindfolded. We work, we go home, we distract, and then we do the same thing. And it's only at night, really, that we don't have distractions. So at night is when our questions come to life. When we put our head on that pillow and we have to go into a sleep and face ourselves without the distractions of the world and without work or family, that's where our questions come to life. That's when we begin to face ourselves. That's when we get real with ourselves. That's when the real comes out. Your deepest fears, your deepest questions. That's when you should pay attention. Sean says, so who are you? See? And another thing that we teach that is a great robbery. That's right, Sean. Another thing we teach that is a great robbery to the woman is the fact that she's birthing a human being. It's such a robbery. It's such a robbery from what the woman is actually freaking doing. Because when you say she births a human, she births people, it's just such an injustice. The woman is the Stargate. She is the portal. The white hole, black hole, whole thing. So white holes are the convergent life force. Convergent means in. So a lot of times you'll talk about people seeing in death the light. I see the light. So your white hole is death. And your black hole, the black holes that scientists are studying out in space and they're trying to figure out what's on the other side of that, it's a womb. Simply find a bigger you and a bigger you and a bigger you. If you want to look smaller, you'll find a smaller you and a smaller you and etc. That's a fractal pattern. It's never ending. It changes, but it repeats, if that makes sense. And it stays the same, but changes because it's not actually going anywhere outside itself. It's all the same thing. And that's what the French say. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. With ourselves, the more we change, we are the same being that we've always been. So let me talk about artificial intelligence, because this is a topic that I truly love. I love artificial intelligence. I love this topic. I love to talk about this stuff. As of right now, artificial intelligence, I would have to say, is the most valid and terrifying topic for the spiritual community. Because we want to incorporate in spirituality that we're one. We know ourselves. We've awakened, right? But there is a great fear behind artificial intelligence, which obviously shows we're not there yet. We still have not awakened. We don't know what is behind this machine. And that's why, I pose these questions for a reason, so you can turn this lens on itself. But why has no human origin been found? Not even our greatest scientist has been able to find it. Likewise, why has no human or no alien been found? The human has still not found the alien it seeks. You have to first know the definition to the word alien, and the definition to the word alien is unknown. We're unknown to ourselves. And if we're unknown to ourselves, we are alien to ourselves. So if we are alien to ourselves, we would not recognize the alien in space. We would not recognize artificial intelligence as ourselves. And remember what I said previously in this video. Everything that you see with these two eyes is from the foundational belief of who am I. So if you're just human, if you're just this being, if you want to say, I know who I am, but I'm still human, that will be the limitation that you go. That will be the extent that your mind will be stretched, is I am just human, but I'm still human. The human doesn't exist. None of these words do. And that's the funny part, is if you were to ask somebody to prove to me humans exist, prove to me, they would point to somebody that looks like this, obviously, and say, look, he's right here. How can you deny it? The human's standing right in front of you. But remember what I said. No human origin has been found, so who are you really? You've never even began as this human thing. There's no beginning to this human belief. So where does the human exist? The mind. It's illusory. Does not exist. Time is illusory. Does not exist. Everything that we believe in fuels the human dream. From time to order to everything that we've created. We've brought order to chaos so that the human dream can exist. Now, I'm not against the human dream suffering. or seeking or ready and willing for this dream to begin fading, to begin peeling back the layers to this dream, you know? And that's where I was in my journey when I began, was I was desperate. I would pay anybody. I would listen to anybody. I wanted answers. And when I say listen to anybody, I don't mean I would believe and take in everything, but I had open ears, open mind. I was willing to hear out anybody because I was desperate to know myself. And that's what you have to be. If you truly want this knowledge, if you want this knowing, if you want to know yourself, you need to be obsessed with it. It's the only way. You can't go to work and distract yourself all day and let that little bit of time where you rest your head on the pillow at night be the only time that you're raw with yourself. Sleep is associated with death because for a moment you go into an absence, but you remain. And that's the greatest catch, is you are still there, whether in wakefulness or sleep. There is something deep within you that remains even while you sleep. But while you sleep, it's not the same experience as this. Allowing you to see and taste a little bit of death, right? Because if I'm not this, how else can I have an experience? Well, a dream allows you to experience that without this. And I'm not saying in dreams you won't have a body, but not in all dreams. I've had dreams where I'm not a body. I've had dreams where I'm everything. I'm many things, right? Because that's what we're doing. So, again, I'm not forcing this on anybody. I'm not saying all of us have to awaken from this human dream, no. But for the ones of us who are suffering, for the ones of us who are ready and willing to look into the mirror, like Morpheus says, can show you the door. The door is here. And that's why I'm saying the door is right here. Look and turn your camera lens on itself. I've shown you the door, right? Now you must walk through. You must begin to inquire deeper into yourself. You must begin peeling back all the layers to your illusion, and it will be uncomfortable. It may even terrify you. It may bring tears. It may shake you to your core. But let me tell you something. That is spirituality. All this New Age philosophy of butterflies and rainbows and crystals and this and that, this is New Age stuff. And I don't mean to judge it, but what it does is no different than religion. It keeps you coming back for more and more and more. That's why I speak against it. I don't judge that, but I am about results. However, again though, to each his own. That's why I said, if what you are doing is helping you, if it's transforming your life, if it's doing something for you, by all means, please keep doing it, please. I do not discourage that at all. If it helps you, if it makes you loving, have at it, please. But if you're suffering, if you're stuck, this is the door. It's right within you. The path is within you. It's not outside you. It literally broke my heart to see us fighting ourselves during this black and white time, because it's undeniable what the news was doing. It's undeniable what the news is doing. Did you know that there was more white people killed by police last year than black people? That's something we wouldn't know. That's a statistic we wouldn't freaking know because the news makes damn sure of it. The news reports only what it wants to. There is a clear division at play here. And again, we don't know ourselves. So what do? We take our information from the TV, from media. We're told our reality, and then we respond to it out in the world. If half of these people knew that they were fighting themselves, that the black and the white is themselves, that when you grab another person and you're trying to shape them and you're punching them in the face, you're forcing them, whatever, you're overpowering them, If you only knew that what you grab is yourself, what you're grabbing at and attacking is a screen to your own consciousness. If you only knew that, you would give up the fight right now, instantly. You wouldn't even waste your efforts. But we don't acknowledge that. We don't. We don't want to see that this world is simply a screen to our own consciousness. There is no world and body. There is no body and world. And that's why we use the word "and" to separate these different words. There needs to be no separation between these two words, body and earth. Earth body. There's only one. Earth body. This moves as one. That's again, goes back to the Freemasons. There isn't man and God, there is just one. One presence which spoke man and God into a being. Right? And it's the same with earth and body. There is a presence, undeniable presence within you. That's the something deep within you that you know but can't put words to. Right? This presence is what has created earth and what has created body as the words. And remember, seeing is believing. So you're not seeing with these eyes, you see with the mind. That's why when you look outside, you say, because again, there is no inside or outside. This is one being, one presence. So the only thing words are good for is to communicate. You know what I'm speaking of when I say outside, because we have this outside principle that is of nature, of trees, of grass, of houses, cars, right? So outside is good for communication. Earth is good for communication. Body is good for communication. But we've allowed these objects to become the words. And where do the words exist? In the mind. So seeing is believing. What you believe is what you will see. Why do you think we all share this same earth? We're all in this same place, right? We're all here, but there's different theories of the earth. There's different shapes to the earth. How is that possible? Let's talk about it. How is that possible? If there is only one earth, if earth is absolute, if earth is here, and we're all seeing the same thing. Because there is no earth and there is no body. That goes back to the Matrix. Do not try and bend the spoon, that's impossible. Instead, only try and realize the truth. There is no spoon. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon that changes, it's only yourself. Do not try and change the earth, that's impossible. Instead, only realize the truth. There is no earth. Then you'll see it's not the earth that changes, it's only yourself. You can't change something that isn't there. And that's why men who have tried changing this world, controlling this world, suffer. They become immersed in it. Because this is not your mission. Our mission is not to change this world. You cannot change what is not there. We are the change we await and we seek. So back to artificial intelligence here. I love this topic. The best way I can relate artificial intelligence to us, and again, this is for the open-minded, but to me, an open-minded person can't deny this. But if you look at video games have caught up to us. And what I mean by that is Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, produced a crappy image, blurred, bunch of pixels, sucked. You could look at the TV, then look outside and see a comparable difference. Very significant difference, yeah? The video games have caught up to us. The pineal gland is what connects us here, yeah? What's virtual reality? You put on a headset, just like you have here, a pineal gland. This is your headset. You put on a headset and instantly a matrix is produced. A matrix meaning a surrounding world, a surrounding structure. You're in some place just by putting on a headset, and a completely new experience is produced. Now, I'm not saying the graphics are perfect today to where they look like this, but even you could admit they are pretty damn close, and they're only going to get more and more close until you're not just in the video game, you have a sense of feel in the game. You have a sense of smell in the game. You can taste and touch in the game. The game becomes real, right? That's what video games are going to do. They're going to catch up to us sooner or later. Artificial intelligence and video games are the same head. Because what conceived video games and what conceived artificial intelligence was ourselves. The knowledge that was required to build the video game came from this. And the knowledge that was required to build the AI came from this. And so what we did was we took this abstract idea and we materialized it into a form. That form being computers, video games. We've put this intelligence into forms. And now the next form from computers and video games is artificial intelligence. A form that mirrors this one. And remember what I said with the video games. Sega Genesis, Nintendo, they were terrible. So you can imagine the first few artificial intelligence machines that they create like this is going to be just like Sega Genesis. You're going to look at it and say, and remember, you can already do this. Sophia is an artificial intelligent woman, and she has a face, right, with expressions and all this. You can look at that as of today and tell that's not real, right? That's not me. That doesn't look like me because there's differences. I can see her wires and I can see the metal and this. Okay. You have skin, you have organs, you have blood, you have stuff hiding your wires, right? Give Sophia maybe 5 years. You wouldn't recognize her from you or in a machine. You would not recognize the difference. Because everything we are creating is going to catch up with us. That is the Ouroboros. Everything we seek, we are. We're seeking a human origin, but what we will do is not find it. We still have not found it and never will. Because what we will do is circle back around and realize we've just ended where we began. Meaning, there is no human origin. That's why we still have never found it, because what we think we are doesn't actually exist. So how can something end if it never began? And that's all death is. Death is the end of a dream. And that's why Eckhart Tolle says the secret of life is to die before death, so that you can discover there is no death. It is the end of a dream. The end of illusion, the end of belief. That's what dies. That's what ends, if you will. Is this dream of separation. And the greatest thing is that once we've recognized ourselves, you realize you don't have to go anywhere, here nor there. A lot of people say, I need to go back into the plant medicine, or I need to go back to the meditation, or I need to go back to my yogi, or to my guru. Or the reason the medicine is there, the reason the guru is there, is so that you one day will never come back. That is what Buddha taught. Buddha taught what he called as total death. And he called it total death because in India, they have a thing called samsara. And samsara is an endless wheel of birth and death. Reincarnation, where you're stuck in a wheel of samsara. And you can't get out of it. Because you constantly reincarnate and reincarnate and reincarnate, and you don't know who you are. So you're stuck. And this terrified a lot of people in this time. So what Buddha offered was what he called total death. And he called it this because there's no need to come back. There's no need to reincarnate. He says if you know yourself but one time, you've made it. You've died forever. And that's why in Alice in Wonderland, Alice says, how long is forever? And the White Rabbit says, sometimes just 1 second. Because that's what an awakening is. It's an instantaneous and spontaneous realization within yourself that takes but one moment, but 1 second for that thing to click in your mind of, wow, I know who I am here. And there is no spoken word for it. No one can tell you who you are. I cannot tell you who I am. That's why we fail when we're asked who we are by others. We look for ourselves in the words. When you're asked who you are, you try and describe yourself with description, with detail. You look for yourself in words. If I were to ask you who you are, you would instantly go to your mind, into your repertoire for, what can I think of? Who am I? What description, what word can I use to exist in? Instantly, we look to words for existence. There's no existence in these words. There's something deep within us that is undeniable existence, that fills these words with existence. But the words are not existence. That's why there is no earth and body. There is an earth body, one. And that's what the Freemasons teach about the dot and the circumference, is your pineal gland is the dot, and the circumference is what you call the earth. But they teach you that they move as one. They do not move as two. This experience responds to every single thought, choice, and thing that you do. Because, again, this moves in sync to you. Earth is not independent to you. That is why in dream, what is deep within you takes this thing you call earth with you. That's what I mean by sleep allows you to taste death. Because in sleep, you take this earth with you. All the people in it. You could have your whole family around your bed when you go to sleep. And you would take all of them with you too. And I don't mean in a physical way, obviously, because they would still be there standing around your bed. Something deep within you takes them, takes the earth, takes everything with you. But the great question is, where does it go? And the answer to that is what the great Sri Ramana Maharishi said. He says to his disciples, they say that I am dying, but where will I go? I will be here. That's the point of plant medicines. That's the point of meditation, is to show you that everything you seek is here. You are already there. You are the medicine, you are the meditation, you are the God, you are the alien, you are everything you seek. No connection needed. It's effortless. You don't need to try to do it or to connect to it. You are it. The attempts to reach it and to connect to it separate you. They sever you from it. There is no here and there is no there. And that's what plant medicine shows you. Is when it takes you outside of a body, it shows you you're not in fact outside of a body. You're here. You're here right now, where you've always been. The only difference is there's no image being produced by your mind. There is no image of trees and earth and space. There's what's called a void. An absence of everything, yet the presence of everything. And it has no word, because it is existence in itself. And it is this existence that fills our words. Hence, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was God, but we as man fell from heaven, fell from that existence into the Word. So, we've fallen into person, place, and thing. All three are housed in the same place, in the mind, and the greatest catch to the ego when experiencing an ego death is once you've surrendered and let go, you expect to meet God. You expect God to introduce itself to you. You expect God to make itself known to you, right? Because you're meeting God, right? In an ego death, nothing introduces itself to you. Nothing comes to you. You're left to meet yourself for the first time. Without a chattering mind speaking for you, without a dominant ego trying to possess or identify or cling to something, you're just pure existence. That which has never been born and that which will never die. That which never began and will never end. Nothing ever happened because nothing was ever separate to itself. And I encourage you to embrace a lonely road. Embrace this path that's lonely. Spirituality is a lonely business. And it's supposed to be, for the sole reason that spirituality is doing what Buddha did, teaching you total death. It is rebirthing you. It is transforming you. And it will be uncomfortable. It will be terrifying. It will make you want to flee. But this is where I say, you cannot run from yourself and you cannot hide from yourself. There is no place you can go because remember, person, place, and thing are all housed in the mind. So there is no place you can go, you'll be there. There's no person you can go to, you'll be there. There's no thing you can hide yourself from, you'll be there. Hence why we're stirring up this human race. We're in a race to a finish line, but the greatest catch is none of us know where the finish line is or where we're going. And so we're in a hurry, but to get to where? We have the gas pedal floored and no steering wheel. The human brain. The human brain. This is from Leonardo da Vinci, his painting. So obviously Leonardo da Vinci knew that God was behind his eyes, because God is inside of the brain, touching out to man. And that connection right there is the Ouroboros, when they realize themselves as one and the same. That's why he's touching himself, and that's why he's in his brain. He is his brain. They are one and the same. It's an Ouroboros effect. They're realizing the inevitability of oneness, of one. Hence why I say, you don't meet God, you meet yourself. There's nothing that introduces itself to you but yourself in death. And death is a lonely path. That's why I encourage, embrace the loneliness, embrace spirituality for being lonely, embrace it. If you're the black sheep to your family, embrace it. Because in death, you will transition very smoothly. Those who aren't comfortable being alone, those who need crowds, they will have a harder time transitioning. That's what religion is. Crowds. Why do you think churches are full? Comfort. Crowds. Like I said, though, spirituality is becoming virtually almost the same. We're not looking for ourselves anymore. We're looking for the crowds, for the followers, for the groups, for this, for that. In death, we take all people, all places, all things with us, which is a certainty, because sleep already shows you that. Sleep has shown you that every single night. You'll take all people, places, and things with you. The only difference in death is it's what's known as permanent. Hence why we fear death. Permanence. We fear death because of permanence. I could permanently take this earth and these people and go to sleep and never wake up. I could permanently be in a sleep where nothing is. But that's why I love how Alan Watts talks about the on and off system, the dual system, and how one will never overpower the other. There will never be an on or off system where one's going against the other. They are one and the same. And that's why I say there is a intelligence here that is beyond our words, beyond our comprehension. And we think that we must understand and make this intelligence submit to our will. That's why we're cutting down all these trees and going against nature and going against this intelligence, because we feel ultimately we can do it better. We know better. And that's no problem, because again, the intelligence that's actually in control here will always reign supreme. That's what happened to Atlantis. Atlantis is here. Atlantis is the United States of America. It's what happens time and time again. Man gets too big for himself, goes against nature. The law of nature will always win. The duality is the singularity. A lot of us, and this is why I want to get on a Joe Rogan podcast and talk to Elon Musk. These guys are missing the freaking mark completely. If I could say one word to Elon Musk, he talks about the singularity is soon going to reveal itself. I would love to have a conversation with this man and just to talk with him, to see what he would have to say about this. But the singularity has already revealed itself. The singularity has been here since forever and always will be, because again, everything is one and the same. Omnia ab uno, all from one. So it's only ever been the singularity and always will be. That's what we are. That's what this drawing represents. This is the male, this is the female. But remember, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. We're all universal. We are the singularity. It doesn't matter whether you classify as male or female. It's still a 0 or a 1 or a 0. The duality is the singularity, which is this middle point, the median, which is why it is beautiful that our genders are under attack right now. Men are trying to be women and women are trying to be men. This is perfect. This is beautiful. And for the people who are angry about it, you're angry that your human dream is being disturbed. You're going to have to face the fact that sooner or later, sexes don't exist, genders don't exist because humans don't exist. This is a domino effect. And I'm telling you, the human veil is just going to collapse on itself sooner or later. All the evidence is here. Is it a 0 or a 1? That's binary code. It's the same with male or female. Is it this or that? The two are the singularity. The two are one and the same, which means this could be that and that could be this. You could switch them and it wouldn't make a difference. Let me show you. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Time is an illusion, and we are the center point. We are the fixed point which does not move. However, we've said that time is going forward. So time is working in a left to right motion, so we say, on a linear scale, left to right. And this is how events happen. But what I mean by is we could switch the two around and you wouldn't know the difference is, let's just say, for example, time doesn't go backward to forward. What if time went forward to backward? What if we're going backwards? The greatest catch of that is we still wouldn't know the difference. We wouldn't know if we were going forward right now or backward because the two are one and the same. It would make no difference. It would not change a thing. And that's why I've asked people, is the grass truly greener on the other side? And the catch is no, because that side is this side. It's the same with cars, right? We drive a car that's old, that's ready to break down, and we say, if I can just get that new car, my life will be better, But and this is what we do. We put all our happiness and hopes into that new car. And we say, once I get that new car, I will be happy. My life will change, right? You get that new car, and you don't notice much of a difference. I mean, obviously, you notice the difference of it's not going to break down. It's a reliable, newer car. But you don't notice a difference beyond 4 wheels and a seat and a steering wheel. That car was this car. There's no difference. The difference was that you classified one greater than the other, and then you invested all your happiness into acquiring this. And once you acquire it, you realize that it's the same as the last car you had. That happiness was never in that. And so we begin looking for other materials we can put our happiness into. We begin filling our house and our place with materials and all these things which we think are happiness. But we miss the fact that happiness was ours to begin with. It was always yours. But we put it into materials. We have projected it into situations or outcomes. If only this happens, then. If I can just get this, then. But what you will find is that outcome is this outcome. That car is this car. That house is this house. What I mean by that, again, is this is universal. Yes, the house may have more square feet, maybe bigger, maybe nicer neighborhood. The same 4 walls that was in that house you were trying to escape before are going to be the same 4 walls that surround you in this one. The same 4 wheels and a seat in this car you wanted to get rid of so bad are the same 4 wheels and a seat that you wanted to get so bad in this car. It's universal. So is the grass greener on the other side? No. The poor say, if only I could get rich and acquire some money. While the rich say, if only I could have some of what they have. Because what we have is what? Most rich people are miserable, are alone, and I'm not saying everybody. I don't ever classify everybody, okay? So I don't mean to judge or stereotype. But most people with wealth are alone, have money materials, and are attempting to fulfill themselves with their money. Most people who get this wealth, like celebrities, rappers, they go into drugs. They get depressed because why? They realize their whole life they've been just trying to make it there, and they've made it there, and it wasn't what they thought it was. You've dedicated your whole life to this belief, and you finally caught that belief, and it dissolved into your hands because it wasn't anything you thought it was. But that's where the power is yours. You've had it all along. You've had the happiness all along. And that's why these celebrities and these rich people are trying to get back to the simplicity of life. But my point is getting money is not the answer. You know, the rich want to be poor and the poor want to be rich, vice versa. You know, the two always go on saying, what if this, and it's just other side, other side. It's one and the same. It's universal. This is what I mean. It's all universal. We're all the same person. We're all the same being. And that's why I've said, you know, this is why there are so many gods. I've gotten asked many times, you know, if God is one, because, you know, you say all is one and we're all one, why are there so many gods? Why does God have so many names and so many pictures? And this is for the simple reason that each culture has brought God into an image, has shaped God, has made a story of God, a description, etc. And so what you'll find is that each God for each religion represents that culture. And what you'll realize is that the way they dressed, or the way that God dresses in each culture, each religion, is in accordance to the culture it comes from. That's why there's so many. And here's the other thing. Back to black and white. The white man says he is the original man. The black man says he is the original man. The white man says God is white. The black man says that his God is black, or God is black. And so these two go on fighting because I came first. No, I came first. You took the image of our God. No, you took the image of our God. God is black. No, God is white. And you go on doing this, missing God entirely. You have missed it. Instead of embracing the fact that someone is different from you, you have a skin color I don't. That is freaking beautiful. That's amazing. That's mind-blowing. Why do we not embrace that? We're all the same being, but you have a different tone than I do. That's freaking amazing. A child would see that as a miracle. That's crazy. How can we be the same, but we have a different skin tone? But not the adult. The adult complexes it with beliefs, ideologies, divisions, separations. I came first. No, this is mine. And the two fight it out till the death. Is it black or is it white? I have your answer right here. You need each other. You need each other. So to the black people and the white people out there, please know yourself. You need each other. You cannot take one side from the other. They are one and the same. If you erase the white man, you erase the black man. And if you erase the black man, you erase the white man. So please know yourself. Please stop fighting. Stop the war. Stop listening to the news and the media. Just as I said, there was more white people killed by police last year than black people. But we take our information and are told our reality from the news and from social medias. And so we see only what is given to us, what is presented to us. There is a great agenda through the news. It tells you what to believe. It doesn't ask your opinion. It tells you your reality, and then you go out on the streets and you do whatever it says. TV can make monsters into heroes and heroes into monsters. The only thing true is your own experience. What I'm saying is not even true. The only thing true is your experience. Truth is yours, and it's your birthright, and it's always yours. I nor anybody can give you truth. I cannot bring you what you already have. Your existence in itself is the truth, is the eternal truth. And your experience through this existence, through this truth, is the only truth there will ever be. So what I or him or he or she says does not mean anything to your experience. Your experience is truth. And that's yours. So don't let me or the TV or the media or internet take that truth from you. Don't let anything, anyone tell you your truth. Truth is your birthright. That is your power. Nobody can take that or sway that from you. Your experience here is absolute. It cannot be denied. That is the great I am. It requires no voice. No voice, no words to sit here in silence and know existence is here. That silence is the great I am. You are existence. And that existence is truth in itself. This is what spirituality looks like. It's scary, and it's uncomfortable, and it will shake you to your core. But if you want to see results in spirituality, if you're tired of hanging your crystals to charge for the moon, or if you're tired of, anything that you're doing, any act of doing to essentially see results in your life or to connect to God better, if you're doing something, this is the way. The doing simply stimulates the ego. It stimulates the senses and the emotion of the mind body. And that's what we serve through the mind body, is the ego. And that's why an ego death is what's known as an awakening. This is an ego death. Bursting yourself into flames, unlearning all which you thought you knew, and rebirthing yourself from your own destruction, from your own ash, losing yourself to find yourself. Ending where you began to realize you never left. That's why I ask people, only you know if what you're doing is changing your life, is giving you results. But I can tell you one thing right now. There's a reason many people give up on meditation, and it's because they see no results from this doing. Meditation is a doing, right? and they see no results. So they give up on it and they try and find something else. Chakra work, breath work, crystals, hanging crystals for the moon, or putting a charge of crystals from the moon. What will this act of doing do to transform your life? What will this act of doing do to get you closer to God or closer to that which you seek? At what point will this be the turning point to where you say, wow, now I'm getting somewhere. Now this is stirred up. Because if you're just constantly doing chakra work, breath work, you're what? That's why I said it's the same as religion. It fills you up, but then life happens. Job, work, family, you are depleted, and so you return. You return. And you return. And that's why I ask people, ask yourself right now. Call yourself out on your shenanigans. Call yourself out right now. What will happen to myself? What transition will I see? What results will I see if I start aligning my chakras, if I start healing, things, or I start doing things? Where is the results? And as I've said, I'm not taking this from anybody. If you see results, that is your truth. That's beautiful. Do not stop. But only you know if you are harboring fruit from what you're doing. So my primary focus is on those who feel they're not getting anywhere. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of what you are already doing. If that satisfies you, if you enjoy this, that's fine. And Linda says, what to do. And this is where I said previously in this video, this is the moment where everybody exits my video. This is where my video gets turned off. Because the ego does not want this answer. The ego makes awakening, makes getting there a mission, a task, a complex set of information. It has to be something superhuman, supernatural. It has to be something beyond the average capability. Something not everybody can do, right? But that's the simplicity of it. We can all do this. We can all do and connect to God because we are God. We can all do this. Nothing is greater or better than. We're all one and the same. But back to my point of your question, what to do. The philosophy I have of everything is one is I give no practices. I give no doings. The greatest thing I can instruct you to do is what I was talking about in the beginning. Taking your camera lens, if you will, and turning it in on itself. That is what to do. Because what that does is it kills the loop from happening. There's a loop that is produced through question and answer. And what to do is a question. And if you answer that question, you'll be introduced with an infinite number of loops of more questions and answers, and you'll never get there. So what to do is stop question and answer right now in this moment. Be done with question and answer. Realize question and answer are one and the same presence. So the question and answer are the same presence. Only you can satisfy your question because the question is yours. Right? So ignore question. Instead, turn your I thought on itself. Because we would say, I want to know what to do, right? Take that I thought and turn the lens in on itself. Call yourself out on everything. That is the greatest catch. That is what I have to offer through this philosophy, is there is no teaching, there is no practice, and there is nothing to do. In fact, this knowledge is what offers you the freedom, the liberation of having to do. Because the ego puts an expectation to this doing. If I do chakra work, if I do this, if I open my third eye, if I decalcify my pineal gland, I will make it there. There's an expectation through the ego of this doing. And that's where I say spirituality has become a new religion. Because we think in doing these things, we are getting closer to God, closer to existence. But what this doing does is sever you from it. Because instead of knowing you are here, you are it, this existence is you, you seek a connection. And you say that I cannot be there until I have done this. Once I do this, now I'm connected. Now I'm aligned. Now I'm here. Now I'm connected. Now we're good. But just like I said, remember, when you put yourself in that new car was this car. One and the same. So it's the same with the doing. When you do, you'll find that how you felt before that doing is the same as after you felt after that doing. That doing may temporarily satisfy you, but we don't want temporary. We want permanence. But permanence is our greatest fear. Remember, as I said previously in this video, we fear death for one reason, and that is permanence. And it's not so much about, to John's question, or to John's comment, it's not so much about admitting your sins to yourself when you turn your lens in on itself. It's really about facing all your conspiracies with yourself. So for instance, I'm not here to answer or say that what anyone is doing is getting them the results they want or need, right? I'm not here to say that. But again, only you know if what you are doing is actually really helping you, or are we getting on camera to show people I can do a superhuman, unnatural thing that you can't do, or I can do something superhuman. Are we doing for an audience, or are we doing to get results? We must call ourselves out on all conspiracies with ourselves. On all conspiracies. And one of those is the great fact of this human being. If I am a human, where is the human origin? We have to face this inevitability at some point or another. Our greatest scientists and physicists have never found a human origin. What does that tell you? It's not there. But yet we seek and we scour galaxies, solar systems, planets, atoms to find any trace of ourselves. And that's why knowledge is not the answer. The more you know, the more distant you become to it. Unlearning is the greatest form of knowledge. Unlearning all which you thought you knew. And that is the hardest part. Because everything we believe, we call real. We say it's real. Because that is the power of your existence. Your existence, that inner flame inside of you, is what makes this real. And you are never not that eternal flame. As I said, in sleep, you will take that flame with you. You will take all the people in this world into your sleep with you, because that eternal flame does not die out. It may produce a new image. It may produce a new shadow. It may produce a new world. but it does not change. It does not go. It does not come nor go. Therefore, you cannot miss it. It is here, and it has always been here. From 1,000,000 years prior to 1,000,000 years forward, it is here, and it will always be. That was the message of our ancestors. That was the message of Ramana Maharishi and all these sages and gurus of India, is that the answer is here, will always be here. That is what we avoid, is being devoured by this moment. This moment here is where all that you seek lies. But facing that does not stimulate your senses. Facing that does not stimulate your emotion and like I said, it's discomforting. It doesn't produce, at least not at first, the good feeling and the happy-go-lucky and the love. That's not what you're going to feel at first. That is the result after the work has been done. That is the surrounding result. You must walk through the darkness first. You must face yourself as all as which you fear. Hence why all that you seek is just beyond your fears. That is why religion, very intelligently, whoever was behind religion was a genius. Because whoever created religion knew they had to create Satan. They had to create Satan to keep the being in obedience to the belief of God. The mirror of Satan is what keeps religious people in the confinements of God. It terrifies them. That mirror terrifies them. They will not look into it. They won't penetrate what Satan is. They won't even question or look in that direction. It's evil, it's sick, it's wicked, you'll suffer, you'll be tortured by God. Don't do it. That's genius. It's a reverse psychology tactic. They terrify people with it. And so you will never look in that mirror. However, there are people in religion, such as myself, I was baptized Catholic, where you pick up on the discrepancies. This doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, and if certain things don't make sense, your entire structure of religion collapses. And that's what happened for me. There was enough discrepancies in religion to where I realized this is not adding up to the point to where I knew your entire religion is built off of a belief. This is not at all truth. This is not at all what is absolute. And from there, I became an atheist, but I knew there had to be some answer. I didn't believe in God, yet I knew. It's weird. I didn't believe in God, but I knew there was something greater than myself. And that was the ego talking through me. Greater than myself, because I believed I was Tyler. I believed I was a body. And that's why I made the post yesterday. You know, if I could leave behind just one message from my entire experience of this lifetime, it would be the post I put yesterday about what an awakening actually is. Because there's so many New Age people, and not all are New Age. You know, there's people like David Icke, who personally, I do not subscribe to his philosophies. I do not like David Icke, because if you've even watched this video and fully listened to what I've said, you'd see that what David Icke says and what I say are completely different, opposite directions. Okay? David Icke's information is good, in my opinion, for the person who's just getting beyond the surface, who's just scratching the surface. It gets you into the conspiracies of the world. It gets you into the acknowledgement that something is not right here. Something is off in the world. That's where it's good. But he goes very far off on his information. And what it does is it keeps you immersed in this dream. It fuels your dream and it keeps it going. It persists it. It stirs it up. And so I don't support, Ike's message or subscribe to that, And again, I respect if you find his content useful, that's great, But I'm just saying, what I offer and what he offers are completely different. And so back to my point, there's a lot of confusion with this word awakening. There's a lot of expectation behind this word awakening. And awakening is simply dying before death. If you want the raw and uncut answer as to what an awakening is, that is the reality of it. It is to die before death so that you know yourself beyond. So that when it is time to sleep and not wake up, you know you'll still be here. You know what is to come. Because again, death will not change you. And only people who have died before death will tell you that. Death will not change you. That's why suicide is 100% pointless. Back to what I said previously in this video. You cannot run from yourself. You cannot hide from yourself. There is nowhere you can go which you will not be. Person, place, and thing are all housed in the mind. And you will be there wherever you go, person, place, or thing. You cannot run from yourself, and you cannot hide. And again, you are not contained to this body. So if you think death will strip you of this body and change you, it will not. Because everything you avoided here and now will be waiting for you in the rebirthing. Death is the revolving door to birth. You cannot run from yourself. That's why we avoid this moment. That's why we have so many distractions, to prevent us from being devoured and faced by this moment. This moment is the existence, the absolute that I speak of. There is no word for this moment. This moment speaks always through silence. This moment is what all phenomenon and all history have happened through. This moment right here. This moment is where every person of history has lived and died, has happened, has transitioned through this moment. And that's why this moment is here. To reveal to you your true face. We assume things are under a time construct, a time law, because we watch the changing, the age process of things. But this is not the case. The moment is here to reveal to you your true face. So all that happens will transpire through this moment. You can have the worst hurricane, the worst tsunami, the worst storm ever tear apart this entire thing. And yet existence would still be undisturbed, untouched. And that's what Buddha meant when he said to pass through a river without letting the water touch your feet. That's where the Buddha came up with the lotus. The lotus floats gracefully upon the water, but is not touched or disturbed on the inside by the water. It does not escape the river, it passes through it, but remains untouched, undisturbed. Likewise with you. You must pass through life without letting it touch you, without letting it disturb you. And that's kind of what Bruce Lee meant when he says, be like water, to be shapeless, be formless. No resistance. Water takes the shape of any object, anything. No resistance. Flow like water. Yeah, Keith, that is a good point, brother. Keith says, being seems a bit like doing. How about just awareness? That's a good question, because I have a lot of people say, what is the difference between being and doing? And I would have to say one is you're consciously aware of who you are, meaning you can experience and have the experience, but again, you are passing through the water without letting it touch you. You are not bound by this experience. You are not bound by the emotion or the response from this. You are beyond that and you are free of it. So when negative emotion or these things come, we don't identify with them, or in other words, hold on to them. We're able to purge them, release them, let them go, feel them, be conscious, because in the back of our mind we are consciously being. We are aware of who we are. We are in alignment with that inner intelligence that I spoke of, that just naturally is in a being, in a state of just being, not having to force a thought of what to do or force a thought of how can I do this or that. And that's where we fail. That's where we have expectation. That's where we become unhappy. That's why people stop meditating. Meditation has been introduced as a way that you sit in one spot. A lot of people, again, they create an expectation. They put on spiritual music. They make it a quiet setting, right? They sit alone. They may sit in a certain position. These are all expectations. Why the spiritual music? Why must it be quiet? Why must you sit in one fixed position? Why just that? This was not Buddha's style of meditation. Buddha said that his meditation was always and forever. He meditated in sleep and wakefulness. He meditated standing up and sitting down. He meditated talking and staying quiet. He was always in a form of meditation, because meditation is the existence that I talk about, that absolute existence. And so what we say when we meditate is, how can I connect to this existence? How can I be this existence better? You can't. You are already it. You are already there. So, if you sit in a room quietly, put on spiritual music, close your eyes, and sit here like this for 30 minutes, you have an expectation that something is going to happen. We must be free of that doing. You are outside of that doer as existence in itself. You cannot connect to what you already are. So what meditation actually is traveling through the river without letting it touch your feet. Not escaping your job, not escaping your life, but going to work, being involved in life, but knowing who you are. That is being. You don't escape life. You don't run to the forest. You go through it. But you're in a state of being, and that being is a constant state of meditation. So, you're meditating, you're in meditation. I don't want to say you're meditating. You're in meditation, that existence, always. You don't need to sit in one spot. It doesn't need to be quiet. I'm in meditation at home, at my job, when I talk to customers, when I talk to people, when I'm quiet, when I'm alone, when I'm at the store. It does not matter. Because back to what I said, all person, place, and thing are housed right in your mind. So to be in a constant state of meditation is the way. That was Buddha's way. That was his teaching. He said meditation is not something you can just merely do once or twice a day. You'll never see results. This will not transform you. It has to become such a constant phenomenon to where you don't even have to think about meditation. You soon won't even call meditation a word. It will be as natural as your breath. It will be a backdrop to your life, meaning wherever you are in life, meditation is your being, is your existence. And it's effortless, just like breathing. You're always in meditation. Now, this doesn't mean that when you're at work or you're with family, you won't get disturbed. This doesn't mean that you won't feel emotion, you won't feel anger, sadness, but you're not bound to these emotions, meaning you will not identify as them and hold them in and suffer from within, and then have to sedate and silence these emotions. You feel them as beautifully as they come, whether it's anger, sadness, you feel them and you release them. But when you identify as them, you hold on to them and you attach them to yourself, and over time, you're an emotional wreck. You can be triggered like that. Taken from your meditation, your beingness. So, yes, it's beautiful to feel emotion. It's beautiful. Just because you get angry or sad, Buddha was angry, Buddha was sad, Buddha felt emotion. He wasn't superhuman like we seem to think these people are. He was you. He was me. He felt emotion. He didn't self-identify with them. He knew himself beyond emotion. So he would purge the emotion, release it. There's no need to attach it to myself. I am not the emotion. I am not this body. Feel it. And by feeling it, you are in the state of meditation. You are in existence. You are in a beingness. No effort required. And there is no answer beyond love. Love is the answer. Love is the simplest answer there is. The mind is how we've become divided. The mind is what we see through. So the mind is what all separations exist through. That's why the heart is where we can all connect. The heart is where we can all unite. Because again, deep down, in each and every person, in each and every one of us, deep down, whether we admit it or not, we know we're all the same person. We know we're all we have. Because think about it, when all else fails, let's just say, let me just get a little graphic here and just be a little exaggerative, okay? It's only in tragedy, in ultimate tragedy, that we drop the mind completely and just dive into the heart and unite, and it's beautiful. But why must there be a tragedy for us to just be in the heart? So for instance, a bomb were to come down right here and explode, and I mean, not kill everything, but obviously destroy it. You know, there's people hurt and this and that. What would we do? We wouldn't think through the mind. We wouldn't say, oh, you know, he's this or she's this religion or I'm this or that. There is no mind at that point. There is the inner intelligence that we know we are one and the same. I am you, you are me. The heart is where we belong. And you naturally go to help or to assist. But why must it take tragedy for us to be so dominant in that heart? We can be dominant in the heart all the time. But it first takes knowing yourself. Otherwise, you are in a human race, but you don't realize that you're only in a race with yourself. You know, me. I have to be first in line. I have to be ahead of you. I have to do this. You're in a race with yourself. Likewise, in a war with yourself. As I said, this is why all world systems feature in two parties. You got two parties for the worldly systems, and it mimics your brain. And that's why there is no revolution beyond yourself. We think a revolution of being a physical event where we physically overthrow a system. But we forget that all these words are representing the phenomenon happening inside of man. All conversation with God throughout history has happened inside of man. Not out here in the world. It's happened inside of man. And it's no different than the revolution. I know that throughout history there have been revolutions where people are physically overthrowing systems. But that is how you fail. Because again, you are fighting yourself. The true revolution happens within you. The word revolution is supposed to refer to the event that happens within man. Just like all communion with God has happened within man. It is the same. You are the revolution. You are the shift. So again, I say, an awakening is not coming across some information you found on the internet or on a YouTube video about the government, and then you going to fight this government, you going to fight this force. Because there's a reason government use a two-party system. They are you and you are them. They have no more control here than you do. And that's the great catch of all of this, is we seem to think they have all this control, but what they control really is a material world that is not even in fact physical. So who is in control here? Control is nobody's. There is an inner intelligence here that is driving everything, and it's taken care of. So you don't need to fight them or him or anybody. They are you. And in you knowing yourself, the fight is over. The revolution happens. Because you no longer fight a system that is not there. You no longer persist in this fight. This is a genius tactic. It's genius. Because if you are a Democrat, you pick the right side of your brain. And if you're Republican, you pick the left side. Liberal, conservative. Remember, whoever they are, if you're on this side, then the people on the other side are to blame for everything in the world. They're the problem, right? That's all I hear in politics, and that's why I can't even sit a minute in politics. I cannot sit around it, because this is what I will say to anybody. You blame the Republican for what's wrong in the world when if only you knew the Republican was the other side of your brain. You blame the Democrat for what's wrong with the world, if only you knew the Democrat was the other side to your brain. Why don't you join them together and meet yourself for the first time? That's why we pray with two hands and bring them into a unity. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere. Did you know that the right hemisphere of your brain controls your left side of the body, and the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body? It's backwards. So when you bring your hands into a unity, you are uniting the hemispheres into one. This is not for nothing. And again, there is no coincidences here. You designed it this way. And very intelligently done. Very intelligently so. This video is going to go on my YouTube channel, Red Pill Rabbit Hole, so you can watch it back if you'd like. I hope this video has helped fill some gaps or connected anything with somebody. You know, if this has helped you in any way, I'm glad. Once again, you know, I'm just going to reiterate, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm not here to try and persuade you or sway you away from what you believe. If what you believe is happy, you know, or making you satisfied, I have nothing but love. That's great, you know. But I just remember where I was at when I began my journey. And I was desperate for someone like me to just tell me. Just tell me raw. Just tell me what it is. Tell me. You know, I don't want the decorated answer or the pretty answer or the decorated path. I want just to be slapped with the truth. Tell me the way. So I just hope to fill in some gaps, maybe help people in their frustrations or, you know, if they're suffering or whatever it is. I just want to be a source of help. But just know there's no truth that I offer here. Remember, truth is in your experience. So I nor anybody can bring you truth. Truth is your birthright. Truth is yours. Okay? Thank you.